boy. Hello, my friends. This is Jeannie. Welcome back to the continuing saga that is my altered book. You guys, you should see my desk. I have 3 books at different stages. I have the experiment, the big old experiment book where I test all of my techniques, my paints, and all my other ideas on before I apply it to the second book I have. And in that second book, I kind of work out all the little kinks of my details and what I'm doing before I apply it to my final book. So yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, when last we left off, we had in the first video selected the book, ripped out the pages. That was video 1. Video 2, we spent the entire video gluing the pages. Okay. And in this video, yeah, I'm slow. I'm just if I had my own theme music, it would be da-dum, 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 because I am so slow. That's the kind of theme music that would play if music played anytime I walked or did something. So this video, what I hope we can get done is cover this book in some fabric, and yeah, let's start with that. Let's try to get this book covered in some fabric and maybe add a detail or 2 that I want to add, but I'm honestly not sure how I'm going to add it. We'll figure that out together. So the first thing I did, you'll notice my book looks a little different. I covered it in a coat of white gesso. Now, this could just be me, and I don't know, maybe it is, but the fabric that I have this cotton fabric, okay? And so when I put it against the black covered book, I felt like the fabric looked a little dull. The white wasn't showing as a crisp, bright white. So I thought maybe that was because the background or the behind it was black, and somehow some of that black was coming through. So I just grabbed some gesso, and this is some folk art gesso. I keep tons of this stuff around my room because I use it for so many different things. What I did, wow, there you go. What I did was I applied 1 coat of that white gesso just on the outside of the book using a dry brush. And to me, it makes a difference. Now when I put the fabric on top of it, the white looks very bright, and I feel like the entire book just looks a little brighter. Again, could just be something in my mind. I don't know, but I'm going with it. I colored the book, or I should say I painted the book with that white gesso. Okay, to cut the fabric, I took a good piece of the fabric, laid it on my desk. I took the book, spread it out flat on top of the fabric. I cut enough fabric so that I have probably about 1 inch on the top, inch on the bottom. Maybe you don't need that much, but I'm a big believer in cut too much than not enough, because when you don't cut enough, that's kind of a hard problem to fix. But if you cut too much, you can always trim that back. So I cut enough fabric, so you probably have about 1 inch on either the top or the bottom. And the side, this is way too much, but again, whatever. Better to have too much than not enough. 1 inch will probably do as well. So I would say cut your fabric so you have at least 1 inch, 1.5 inches if you're neurotic like me and always worry that things are gonna go wrong. All around the entire book, so that you can cover the front of the book and the fabric wraps into the inside of the book. Okay, so that's the fabric, that's the book. In terms of glue, again, I'm just going to use this clear gel tacky glue by Aleene's. It dries clearly. It's an all-purpose adhesive. I did test it on one of my other books and it did really well. It secured the fabric onto the book, and it feels really nice once it's dried. It doesn't feel like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel bad. It feels nice. It left a nice feeling to the fabric, because when you put the glue on the book and then you put the fabric on top, some of the glue is going to seep through. That's just what's going to happen, because this is fabric. It's going to absorb through, seep through on the other side. So this part does get a little messy, but that's okay. I think we could all deal with a little messy. A couple of other random things I picked up around my craft room to help me out in terms of smoothing the fabric and getting the fabric all into all the little nooks and crannies of the book. I got my bone folder. I got this little clay modeling tool with the little ball on the top and the little flat surface on the bottom. I got a scraper. These are just all random things I picked up around my room. A spatula. I don't know why I would need a spatula, but I have a spatula. I have a spatula. I don't think I need a spatula, but I have a spatula. Some scissors, tiny scissors, because you will have to kind of cut the fabric as you're gluing it on to get it to fit into little nooks and crannies and crevices of the book. And I guess we will experience that struggle together. So what I'm going to do is, let me make sure this book, I'm going to do one side at a time. Yeah, let's do one side at a time. So let's start. I'm going to work from the front of the book and kind of apply and stretch the fabric as it wraps around to the back. So here's the front of the book. It's upside down. That's what it looks like I'm working in the back, but it's really the front. Okay, let's take some of this glue. I'm going to pull you back a little bit, so I apologize for that. I think you can see better. Maybe. Ooh. Okay, yeah, that's better. That whirling noise you hear in the background is my husband's 3D printer. He's working on some projects while I have some fun with mine. So here's the book. I'm going to apply a generous amount of this clear tacky glue, and I am going to first just put lines of it all over the book. And because it is fabric and it's going to seep through, what I do, boy, you need some, this is not good for someone who has carpal tunnel, but we're going to do this. What I like to do is, once I get a generous amount of glue on here, I like to kind of spread it out and thin it out so I don't have gobs seeping through my fabric. So just using the tools that God gave me, my hands, I'm going to spread this glue around, making sure to cover the corners, edges, edge to edge, edge to edge. You have like this little area of the spine that kind of dips in. You see this right here? I make sure to get that totally covered. So, boy, oh boy. Okay, so I have the entire area covered in fabric. Let's see if I can find something to wipe my hands on. Let's grab some baby wipes. Can never have too many baby wipes. So now we have the book covered in glue. Let's make sure. My I know, this is it, right? Once this makes contact, there's no moving it. So we want to make sure we have enough fabric to wrap around the book, and then some. What is it? Measure twice, cut once. I keep eyeballing everything, making sure it's all lined up. Make sure I have the fabric at the top and the bottom. And we have contact. Ooh-wee. And you can feel when you start pressing down with your hand, you're going to feel the glue coming through the fabric. It won't be too much because we did smooth it out onto the book, so it's not gloppy, but you do feel the glue coming through the fabric. So you're going to press that, making sure to press it into that little fold. You see that little fold on the spine right there? You want to press that in. This is when all of these handy little tools, you can use your fingers. I have this little scraper. You can use a little scraper. So that's great. That's nice contact. I'm just moving the book around, making sure to work out any wrinkles. Okay. There's definitely enough to wrap around, that's for sure. Look at that. That was good. Okay, so we're going to press here, and you want to pull the fabric tight. You don't want any wrinkles, you don't want any sagging or folding. That's why I think it's better to do it one section at a time. This way you can go ahead and smooth it out and kind of stretch it and work it in at a nice slow pace and not have to be rushed because glue in other areas is drying. So that's pretty good. We did really good there. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this over this way. I'm working on a glass mat, so I don't have to worry that the glue that's seeping through the fabric is going to stick to my mat. So make sure that you're working on a non-stick surface so your fabric doesn't stick to your surface. Now we're going to do the same thing to the spine here. We're going to add tons of this glue, and then we will go ahead and spread it out. Yes. Goodness gracious. Let's hope this turns out okay. I find that each time I don't quite use the same method. I do use the same supplies and glue and whatnot, but you always have to kind of adapt and do a lot of workarounds with each book because each book has its own challenge. And some fabrics are easier to work with than others. But so far this cotton fabric has been pretty good. So there, I applied that everywhere on the spine. Let's go ahead and put some in that little slope right there where the spine meets the cover. So we can wrap the fabric around, and let's stop right there. Okay. All right. So I'm going to pick this up, move it over, and ooh, you see that? How that book stuck to my glass mat. See that right there? If that was like anything other than a non-stick surface, my book would have been stuck. So let's clean off some of that glue. Okay, and so we have the fabric. We're now sticking it to the spine. And you want to move it around, whatever works for you in terms of getting the proper angle to smooth it over. I think I'm getting out of frame. Here we go. So again, I'm going to use different tools, including my hands. Oh, I lost my little, oh, here it is. I'm going to use this to kind of work that in there. Making sure that feels nice. I don't feel any wrinkles or bunching. It feels like the entire surface has made contact with the fabric. I can feel the glue coming through a little bit, but not so much because we spread it out. We did. So that feels very nice. Here's more of that glue. Probably don't have to clean in between, but that's just me. Oh my gosh, always the cleaner. Always the cleaner. Okay, so and you see you see some of that glue seeping through. You see that shiny? That'll dry, and once it dries, you won't see any of that. Okay, so now we're on the back cover, the final part. Let's go ahead, put that glue on. I had no idea how good this Aleene's glue is in terms of applying fabric onto things. I got it at Tuesday morning because of the price, and forgot I had it until I started looking through my little box of glues to see if I had anything that could potentially work for this project, because my goal was to try to use as much from my stash and not buy anything, or not buy much, hopefully buy nothing. But if I had to buy something, I wanted to kind of minimize what I had to buy for this project. So far I have, the only thing I bought was some fabric because I didn't have too much Christmas fabric, so I bought a couple of yards of other Christmas fabric from fabric.com. That's the only purchase I've made so far. Everything else has been in my stash. But this glue is amazing. Amazing. Who knew? I'm sure you guys knew. I didn't know. I do have this fabric tack that I thought I would use, but that bottle is not easy for me to work with. It's so hard to squeeze and get the glue out. So I thought I would try this Aleene's, and thankfully worked out well for me. It's perfect. Okay, so we're going to smooth that out. Again, making sure all of the surface comes in contact. I'll just fold that over so you can get the visual. Comes in contact with the fabric. Feels really nice. Don't feel any wrinkles. I'm going to stretch the fabric, but not too much. I don't want it to pop out of the the little, I don't know what you call that, the ditch on the spine. Ditch. So far, very, very, very good. Very good. Okay. Alrighty. So now let's wrap on the inside. That's always, to me, the most challenging part of this whole thing. So we have the fabric on the inside. I should say on the outside. It's looking good. I'm going to open this book up. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind when applying the fabric or sticking the fabric inside. These corners here where, let's put you in frame. These corners here where the fabric is, if you just fold the fabric over on one side and then on the other, you're going to have an incredible amount of bulk building up on this corner here. So the best thing to avoid that kind of bulk is to cut the corners where the fold of the fabric is going to be. That will help eliminate some of the bulk. But when cutting it, you need to be careful that you don't cut it too close, because you want to leave enough fabric so that when you fold over one side and fold over the other, the entire corner is covered. If you cut right up to the edge of that corner, you risk some of the book being exposed because the fabric was cut too short. So you want to cut some, but don't go crazy. Don't go crazy. Okay? So I do it a little at a time. Also, there's way too much fabric on this side, so I'm gonna cut some of that as well, just to help. I'll cut that. A lot of this is kind of eyeballing it, you know? You have a general sense of what you need to begin with, and as you go, you just make adjustments here and there. Okay, so we're going to cut that a little bit more, but we're not going to go crazy. So if I fold that way and I fold that way, I'm going to have that fabric there. There you go. I'm happy with that. I'm going to do the same on the other corners as well. I'm going to cut some, but I'm not going to go crazy. Also, I plan on using book corners, those tabs you put on the corners of books, to just give it a more finished look. So I'm okay with a little bit of like that little pucker right there. You see that? That little extra pucker of fabric. I'm okay with that because it'll be covered by one of my metal book corners. But if you don't like that, you just, as you're gluing the fabric, you just tuck it in. You work it and tuck it so that you don't see it. Okay, so we're going to do the same on this side. And honestly, even if you end up with that little pucker at the end and it doesn't go away, so what? It's handmade. Things that are handmade are not perfect. That's what makes them special. Let's see. Good. That's good. If you want perfect, go buy it at a store. And even then, I promise you, it won't be nearly as perfect as you think. If you want character and personality and love and kindness, buy handmade. Everything handmade is just better. Okay, so that's I think that's a good trim on the fabric so far. Let's go ahead and adhere the ends first because they will be the easiest. These, well, yeah, let's do that. Let's start with what's easy, right? So we're going to do, what we will do is it better to fold that way and that way? I think we will do the end first. So let's grab one end of your book. Let's apply some of that glue. Oh my goodness gracious. Let me just do a quick check. So it's already 25 minutes. Oh boy. And we have, all we have is the glue on the outside. Wow. So let's apply the glue there. Let's stretch that out. So maybe what we will do is let's glue the ends. Okay. Apply that there. And then we'll stop this video and start a fourth video where we will continue gluing our book. I'm trying to keep these videos at a reasonable length, but it's hard to do when you're slow. Okay, so we have that so far. Let's glue the other side. We are going to apply some glue here. Don't fail me now, glue. There we go. We'll apply some here. Okay. Fold this over, making sure that it's wrapped nice and tight around the cover here. Very nice. Okay. So that's what we have so far. Maybe we'll continue going. I don't know, because this is kind of the fussy part of it, folding this fabric over, because you have, obviously your book is still attached. Your book is still, the pages of your book is still attached to the cover. So if you're lucky, you have a book, or try to, I guess I should have maybe mentioned this too. When you pick your book, try to pick one where on the spine is separated from the actual book itself. And there's this little gap between the spine cover and the book. This way, when you glue the fabric, what you would do is tuck it down into that. Once you put the glue, you would tuck that down into that, and it will make a very, very nice finished look. If your spine of your book, of the pages, is actually attached to the book itself, you don't have anywhere to tuck that in, and it just doesn't look as clean. So maybe when you're selecting your book, try to get a book that has like that gap. See that gap between the pages and the spine? That helps a lot. So maybe we can at least do one side of this, and then I'll do the other off camera. And when we come back, we'll just finish the inside to make that look pretty. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to make a couple of cuts up here to help the fabric fold over and look neat. So you're going to make two cuts. You're going to make a cut to the fabric from the edge, from the fabric to the edge of the book, right along here where basically the pages meet the book itself. That's where you're going to make the cut. So one cut will be around here. You see where this, where the pages first meet the cover of the book. The first cut is going to be around here. And you don't want to cut too far. You don't want to cut beyond. There we go. You don't want to cut beyond the fabric. Don't cut so low that you're going to cut and you'll see the cut on the front of the fabric right here. Just cut enough so that you're able to fold the fabric over like that. I hope that makes sense because that was so technical. And you want to do the same on this side. You're going to, let's see if we could do it closer. You want to cut enough, close, but not beyond the edge of the book, you see? So now this is going to fold over like that, no problem. Okay, and you're going to do the same on the other side. So maybe what we'll do, I think we can do it, is in this video we will glue one side and then I can do the other side off camera. You don't need to see me do both. And then we'll come back and we will continue our decorating. So now that you made those slits along the top edge of the fabric, you're also going to cut a little bit of the fabric off. You see that? So that it folds over. You see how I cut a little bit of that excess fabric off so that it just folds over easier? Okay, that's just a little something that I've learned from the past 2 books that I covered, and I will do the same down here. Little tips and tricks you pick up along the way. Okay, and we're going to do that on both sides, top and bottom, I should say. Cutting that little, oh, we did cut it there already. Where didn't I cut it? I cut it there, cut it there, I cut it there. Oh, I didn't cut it here. Cutting a little bit of an angle on those ends right there is going to help when tucking the fabric over. So let's go ahead. Let's take that glue and bring it back in frame. Let's apply that glue here. Spread that out. And then fold that over. Wiping away any excess around here because you don't want the pages to stick, that's for sure. Okay. So that's actually pretty good edge right there. So then let's do the other side. Boy, that machine is loud. You hear that thing? It's normally not that loud. I don't know what he's printing that's making it whirl so loudly. Okay, so we will smooth this out back here. Very nice. Maybe a little bit more. That fabric was a little bit longer on that side, so maybe another. Well, I appreciate everyone who's watching, joining me on this little adventure. And oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy, where are we here? 35 minutes. Woo, this is a long one. Okay, that's okay. I mean, I could cut some of this out and speed through it for the sake of the video, but I like videos that show step by step. And if this is too detailed for you, then by all means fast forward. But this is kind of like the speed I like to work at. And when I look for tutorials, I like tutorials that show all of the steps without assuming, don't assume I know how to do something. Just show me all of the steps. So this is the part I was talking about. Now you see this slip of fabric, we're going to have to tuck it in here, okay? In that space between the spine and the jacket, the cover, we're going to tuck this in. But first, let's add a little bit of glue and let's find a pokey tool we can stick in there. Oh, my spatula. That's why I took the spatula. So what you can do is take something flat. It can be a knife, like a butter knife, or if you have a chopstick, or a pair of scissors, something thin that you can use to kind of tuck this fabric in here. I'm even going to cut the fabric a little bit, just so that I don't have to tuck too much. Okay, so I cut that fabric a little bit. I'm going to take some of this glue and actually add it to the fabric itself, because obviously I can't get into I can't get into that spine and put the glue in there. So I put some glue onto the fabric itself, and now I'm going to use a tool. In this case, I'm just going to use my spatula, and I'm going to, there we go. Let's see. Come on, do it. Aha, there it is. I'm going to, there it is. Tuck this. See that? Tuck that fabric down in there. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how easily that went in. Whoa. That's amazing. I'm just gonna wipe off some of the glue that got on that paper. Wow, lucky me. I thought I was going to make a fool out of myself right here, right now, but it went in. Yay. Nice. Very nice. Wow. Okay. That's kind of impressive. The crafty gods were with me on that one. That one went in. Woohoo! All right, look at that. How pretty does that look? It looks so finished and so pretty. Okay, now all I have to do is everything I just did to the top half of this book, I'm going to do to the bottom half of this book to get that fabric to stick. But same thing. And then once we have this glued down, and we have this glued down, and this tucked in like we did in the other one, then we will be ready for the next step. So you saw me do it. You saw me do it up here. And look how pretty that turned out. Look how clean that looks. Look at that. Nice, good tuck. So I will catch you in the next video. In the next video, we will cover this up with something pretty and nice so that you don't see this. We will cover this up and this up. And then we will figure out how to add, I have these are by Tim Holtz. What are they called? Ring fasteners. I want to be able to hang or clip a charm, a chunky charm onto this book, and I love these fasteners, but I just have to figure out how to get this fastener attached to this spine right here. I'm thinking maybe just poke a hole, slide the fasteners through, and then use that same maybe spatula to kind of flatten out these two little arms to secure it. I don't know. We'll figure that out in the next video. So there you have it, my friends. I am going to continue working on this so that in the next video we can start with decorating the inside and adding that fastener. Until next time, my friends. Bye-bye.